All right. Thank you everyone for joining. Um, I am Monica Sadikovic and I am an account manager at Summit Hosting. And today we're just going to discuss a little bit about how to work with remote clients using desktop, QuickBooks for desktop. I've been with the company for quite a few years and I've have over 15 years experience in the IT world. I've worked with customers between environment migration, server build, software installations, a lot of consulting with them on their specific needs within um, QuickBooks and other third-party softwares and overall within the hosting industry. And let's see if it'll go to the next slide. Nope. Emily, do you mind just switching it to the next slide for me? Oh, there we go. And with the current environment or current world pandemic, things have kind of changed quite a bit for everyone. The typical going to the office, having software such as QuickBooks installed locally on the computers there in the office and everybody working from a specific office has really changed, as everybody knows. And now we're looking at a more cloud-based environment for staff members to be able to work out of. So including, being able to work from home, being able to work from wherever they are, and having that ability has become just crucial for businesses. So today we're going to just talk a little bit about how we can make that easier for you guys and your clients. We're going to go ahead and discuss how the cloud helps clients through remote access, how your business can leverage the cloud, what Summit Hosting has done to help to keep things running, and we're going to have a special bonus at the end. So let's start by just discussing what is the cloud. Customers sometimes still have this idea of, is it just something out there, right? It's definitely not a cloud in the sky, but they still have a hard time grasping what that means about your access within a cloud environment. So I'm going to go ahead and just describe it a little bit. There's obviously various clouds that are available for customers. People have already interacted with the cloud depending on what other software they use and what they do in their daily lives. And so a big definition of the cloud is being able to take your software, to take your data and put it somewhere else where you can access it from anywhere, as long as you have a computer and internet access. And when you're looking at the cloud, especially for QuickBooks, you're looking at either dedicated server environments or share farm environments where your data resides. And so dedicated specifically to a dedicated server to your company, to your client's company, for them to have their software on there and only they are the ones that access it. Whereas a share farm is multiple clients that might be signing up for hosting, accessing various servers that are available. So that's more of that share farm environment. These typical servers are not locally there in the office like you guys, some of the staff might have been used to. They're not that local computer. Now you're putting your data, you're putting your software, everything you have in a secure data center. It's a secure building, office building where we have everything. For example, just kind of sharing this picture here, which will go to the next slide. Oops. Well, there we go. It's definitely not, we're not putting a server in someone's garage or basement. It's an actual server environment in a secure data center. And this is all we do, especially at Summit Hosting, is all we do is hosting for clients. So I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. And we'll just talk a little bit about the cloud and how it's being accessed. The cloud is accessed using a device with an internet connection. So we want to be able to retrieve different ways and be able to log in through different ways. So one of the ways would be through an actual browser. So if anybody has ever accessed Google Drive or even things like, this is the time of year where you're making holiday cards or things like that. So if you've ever used Shutterfly, that's all a cloud-based type of an application where you can store your pictures. You're able to, make GIFs, do all sorts of things, and you're storing this information, accessing it through a browser in the cloud. And so that's the idea with QuickBooks. You're using the QuickBooks Desktop software in a cloud environment, and you're able to access it from anywhere and everywhere. In our specific environment, you're using the remote desktop protocol to access your data. So within us building the dedicated server for you, you would receive a remote desktop protocol. It's a remote desktop icon. You save it to your local computer. You're able to click on it, and it asks you for security. So you're going to enter in your username and your password. If you choose, we do have third-party software that allows you to have another verification come to your phone, allowing you for a multi-factor authentication to approve that you're logging into that server. Um, and that just makes it for that security and usability of the software. And it opens up, and you're now logged into your server. You can open up QuickBooks as if you were working on your local computer. Um, all of your other users have access to the same information that you're saving on that server as well. And so you're no longer relying on an actual software that's only installed on your computer. Everybody is able to access that software from the remote server and access the data that you're saving in there. So it makes it very easy for companies to work with their clients. So when it comes to how does the cloud help you work with remote clients, you're able to use multi-user access when it comes to your QuickBooks. Everybody can enter information at the same time from various locations throughout the world and be able to have that data there secure in a place within the QuickBooks file. So a definitely big selling point for clients is that they're not restricted to hiring staff members in only their area. They can hire staff members throughout the country, throughout the world. They can log in, do their work, and it's not restricted to the office being open from 8 to 5. They can log in during the night, during the day, whenever they need to get their work done. So it definitely offers a lot of that flexibility. And then you can just safely access and collaborate and share files in real time. So like I was saying, invoices, you can save those invoices to the server. Everybody is able to access those. Then we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. The ability to access tools and programs remotely has been crucial for many businesses to continue operating throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. And as everyone has experienced in their own personal lives, it has been very essential that you have the ability to access information from anywhere and everywhere without having to go to a direct office to get those things accomplished. And some businesses that don't have that capability have really suffered, whereas others that have been able to adapt have really made a big difference in how they continue doing business during this pandemic. We'll go ahead and move to the next slide. How does the cloud further benefit remote clients? In addition to providing remote access access to clients, the cloud also provides flexibility, scalability, enhances efficiency, improves data security. And we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about that in the following slides here. So the cloud services and resources can be scaled to accomplish your client's business growth and changing priorities. So again, you're set up, the clients are set up on their own dedicated server, so we can adjust those needs. We can, ramp up the CPU, ramp up the RAM on there, make sure that they have the resources they need. If they need a lot more storage in order to save data or function within the environment, we're able to do that. And it's not something where we come in and say, here's a minimum, here's the next level, as if they had a tiered level with the resources. It's definitely per customer needs. We're able to easily add additional resources to that server. At the same time, and when it comes to third-party software or any other customizable things on their hosted environment, we're also able to accommodate that. And at the same time, employees that maybe wouldn't have had access into the system can now log in and access a secure server to work off of. And I'll talk a little bit more about that and what that entails for certain employees that maybe don't need to log into QuickBooks, but they might have other applications they work in, which also just need to be accessed from a secure server environment now that they're working from home, or they need to still communicate with the other staff members. We'll go ahead and talk about that a little more on what that looks like within a hosted environment. And staff members can sell and process orders off their tablet or cell phone. Things are just made a lot easier to function within the environment. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide, and we'll talk a little bit about improvements within how the cloud improves efficiency. So cloud hosting gives you the opportunity to install third-party applications and integrate them within QuickBooks. So things as Bill.com, SmartVault, WebGility, TrueCommerce, all sorts of mobile apps that are available, reporting tools, depending on what type of business you're running or your clients are running, they're all available now within this environment. You're also going to look at how you're able to minimize, your time and just the overall flexibility of being able to run those reports, organizing that data, how they're able to access all of this data and get all of their tasks completed. And it's all sitting on the server where they're able to access it at any time. And then obviously even the enhancement capabilities of QuickBooks. So all those items are now available within the server, dedicated server environment for your clients to be able to access. And somebody asked the question, what is a VPN? So I wanted to make sure that I addressed that. So it's a virtual private network. So we are able to also set up a VPN within our server environment. If somebody needs that, that is a capability we're able to support where they're able to log in through that VPN. We're also able to support things as, depending on the software they might be using or what they're trying to accomplish, we're able to set up specific external IP addresses to link together and be able to work within there. And we'll go ahead and just go to the next slide. Data security and the cloud. We're definitely in one of these times, regardless of the pandemic, where there's people that are out there trying to get into the system, trying to get into your data, whether it's on a server that you have in the back office, whether it's on your local computer, whether it's through your email. These hackers don't sleep, regardless of a pandemic or not. They're there 24/7, 365 days a year, trying to get into the system. And so it's just been incredible to see over the last 5 years how the world has changed when it comes to hacking attempts. And as the statement here on the screen says, there's every 39 seconds there's an attempt to get in. Again, they do not sleep. This is what they do. So it's really important as a cloud provider that we keep our servers offsite in a high security data center, that we incorporate security measures to make sure that the data is safe for us, for our clients. And so we've definitely invested a great amount of money, and I'll just share with you guys, we've invested over $600,000 since the beginning of this year, just in brand new hardware and brand new switches and a brand new environment to make sure that we're on the latest hardware that's available. These are all things that make it really important to make sure that we stay up to date with how things are handled in today's world and these hackers trying to get in. We have an enterprise level security system, enterprise level backup system, all items that if you try to do it on your local computer or even within your office, try to get this set up, it would not be something that any company of a smaller size would be able to afford. And so what's nice about kind of going into the cloud system is that we're able to provide that to our clients without the high costs that come into play. So the client is not going to be paying $20, $40, $60,000 to upgrade their hardware to get everything set up, to make sure that they have an IT team on hand that does backups and gets everything set up. That's all done by us, by our team, and it comes as part of your monthly service with us. So definitely getting a lot for your money. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide, and we're going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about high security measures and the cloud helps protect data against. So again, we're going to talk about that cyber crime. So hacking attempts, scams, it can happen through email. It can happen as they try to physical threats, right? They try to get into your office. Natural disasters is another one that people need to kind of take into consideration. Hurricanes, wildfires, floods, even power outages, right? When you have your server that holds the whole company data in the back office, um, you're relying that things will stay smooth and all your data's there. If there's a power outage, there's a hurricane, something happens there, all of that could be lost. And so the nice part about cloud hosting is that you're taking all that information, you're putting it on the server. Like I said earlier, we have enterprise level security set in place. If there's notifications that come through. If there was anybody that clicked on the wrong thing, tried to install something and it was malicious, our system would catch it, alert us, turn off the server, so there's no internet access on the server, so they can continue grabbing information off the server. Our team goes in, we run scans on the server, contact the client, have those conversation of what we're seeing, get everything back up, and then turn the server back to the client. Also, we do have those backups in place. So if something was to happen where your data was compromised, we're able to just build a brand new server, or grab the backup of the entire server and pull it back online, and you guys are back to working, not having to worry about the fact of your users being able to log in. And the reason we pay all this money and have everything set up is so we can prevent it ahead of time and minimize that damage. Whereas it's definitely harder for a company to do so when you're trying to do all of this on your own in your local office. And again, most clients will not be able to afford this type of level of security of a backup system, and the overall infrastructure at their level compared to what we're able to provide to them. So we'll go ahead and go to the next screen. So we just talk a little bit about how you're able to leverage your QuickBooks hosting for remote clients. So just again, it's a dedicated server environment. One of the users automatically comes with an admin login. So full administrative rights on there. For QuickBooks users, they're able to go inside and there, they can install the software, they can do their own updates and upgrades. You're not relying on reaching out to somebody saying, hey, can you go ahead and install the software for me? If you have an IT team or if you're able to do it, you can log right in and get all of that done. When payroll updates come through and you need to get those installed, all of that, you're able to do it yourself. And then as soon as you, for example, you're going to go from QuickBooks 2019 and you're going to jump exactly to 2021, the latest year, you're able to install the software. As long as nobody's logged on the server, you can log into each company file, upgrade it to 2021, and everyone can log back in the morning or, in a half an hour and go ahead and start working in QuickBooks 2021 with all the company files. So it definitely makes it a lot easier to function within there. And then access, again, you're able to access it from anywhere at any time. It just gives your staff that flexibility of being able to work from a remote environment, or even when the times change and everybody goes back to an office setting, now you're set up in a cloud environment and everyone can easily do their work in a secure environment. And you're also getting a full QuickBooks Desktop software. So you're not going to QuickBooks Online where there's plenty of limitations. You're still staying on the QuickBooks Desktop full software that you would normally have used on your local computer. And then just overall, you're also getting with our environment, our full support staff that works in our engineering team that works 24/7, 365 days a year. They're there available to help you if you're having any issues with a server, if you're having any of those kind of connect issues within that server environment. So it's your own IT team here and available to help with this hardware and being able to access the cloud. Um, and we do have a US data center environment and we have a Canadian data center environment. So if you have any clients that are located in Canada, are able to support them. There's plenty of them that, due to their business needs, they're not able to put data in the US environment. So we do support them and we have a Canadian data center as well. One of the other items I wanted to mention, and not sure how many of you guys would be interested in this or you run your business in this manner, but if you ever take your services that you do and you sell them to your client, and then if you want to combine the hosting as a package, we do have a completely separate MSP environment where we're able to do that. So you would be able, the actual client would not go through us. It would all be within your account. You have full admin access on the environment to add users, to remove users, to view your servers, make admin changes on the server, install, uninstall software, make all of that happen, and then turn around and invoice your clients for all those services bundled up and into one. So that's definitely something that's available. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. And just a little bit discuss about the offerings of secure hosting solutions for managed applications. So this includes QuickBooks hosting on a dedicated server, like I talked about. And one of the items that came up during the pandemic was the need to have everybody go and work from home, the need to have additional users log into the system. So whereas when people were working from an office and prior to the pandemic, maybe they were just looking at Pam, who is our controller, and maybe one other individual that does billing that would log into QuickBooks and process things, and they wouldn't have other users. And what we came up with and started noticing was that the need was there to have other users that just needed access to a secure server to work from. So we set up our Summit Secure Workspace, and basically it's users, and we can go ahead and go to the next slide. They're users that don't necessarily need access to QuickBooks, but they might need access to a browser. They might need to view reports or run reports or do things in Excel or other Microsoft Office products, but not necessarily log into the full software that's available on the server, such as QuickBooks or other third-party applications. So we set up the secure workspace environment specifically for these users. And there's a light user, there's a premium, and an elite user. And it starts as low as $10 per user per month. And it just gives the users the ability, or I guess companies, the ability to have users log in there and work from that environment. So without having to pay a full scale type of a user that is very robust, now you're able to have these other users also log in and work from that environment as well, and make sure that it's secure. One of the big issues is when people are no longer working from just the office setting and they might be working off a laptop or other devices, if that laptop gets stolen and that data gets stolen with it, I mean, that again, it creates a security measure there. So we want to make sure that all users are in a secure environment where it would make it very hard if a laptop was stolen to be able to log into that system and retrieve any of that kind of data. So we'll go ahead and just move on to the next screen here. And so, working from home and communicating with clients continues to be foreseen in the future. It's not something that's going to completely go away. People are probably going to start moving back to an office, but I think overall, this is our new world. This is something that we definitely need to talk about more so, is how do we make it easier for our clients to be able to work, for their own employees to work from wherever they are at whatever time of day and night that they're doing things, and just make it easier overall as far as utilizing the software. So if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them here. My presentation's pretty much done. I have one more page. The information that's here is our Summit hosting website. You can contact us at our phone number. We do have other articles, which I included there, the bookkeepers and accountings and reasons why you want to move to the cloud today. 7 reasons why you want to move to the cloud today. So feel free to check those out. And then for all of you guys on the next slide here that are on this call today, we are offering a promo code here. And the information there's, it should say that it's 3 months for free through February 28th. And that's being offered to everybody who's on this call today. So feel free to take advantage of that. I'm available if you have additional questions or specific questions in regards to how you're doing your business, or you have certain clients that would be interested in the cloud. I'm happy to jump on a call with you guys and discuss that with you. We can set up a call, so feel free to contact me as well. It does look like, Emily, that we have a few questions. I did answer the VPN question, and then there's another question. Can you explain how printing works using cloud-based systems with QuickBooks? For example, printing checks. So great question. Printing is something that is definitely, we support it within our environment. And the way it works in our RDP environment is you log into the server and it picks up your local printing. So you're able to print, for example, a report from QuickBooks or an invoice directly to your printer that's connected. There's no restrictions when it comes to that. Does anybody else have any other questions I can answer?
Doesn't look like it. We'll give everybody a minute to put their question in the Q&A. Monica, is there anything else that you want to touch on before we go?
I don't believe so.
Here's a question. Is the pricing per company file?
No, the pricing structure that we have is we onboard you based on the number of users that you will be hosting within our environment. It's not per company. So you can put as many companies as you want within your server. You can work on them. We have plenty of clients, for example, that are CPA firms, and they have clients of their own. Some have accounts with us where they have a username and password. They log into our system, they access their own data, and so does the CPA firm. But there's plenty of other ones where they keep their company, the company files of those clients in our system, but that client specifically never has a login into our system or logs in. The bookkeepers are the only ones that are managing them.
Okay, and then someone asked, can the client be on an earlier sunset version of QuickBooks?
We do support them. So yes, if you have older versions of the software, we are able to support it. I will tell you some of those older versions, which I think everybody would know that it gets really tough as the software advances. And for example, in the Windows environment, for example, QuickBooks 2012 or something extremely old like that, that's where you can have some issues with the way it functions, and as well as Intuit has stopped supporting it. So those really older versions of it, they're no longer updating it. So if you run into issues, it's really hard to get support, especially from Intuit on them, because they stopped supporting it. And so the new thing that they've done this year is previously they were still supporting the older versions at least 3 years back, and you used to be able to call them and say, oh, I have the previous year, so in this example would be QuickBooks 2020. 2021 is out, but I have 2020 and I want to add additional users. They used to be able to support that. They've completely stopped that. And so if you need to add additional users now, they push everybody to upgrade to 2021. It looks like there's another question on how fast is your system? A large QuickBooks file can take a while to open. So you're not going to see any difference when you log into the server and you click on the QuickBooks application to open it. You're not going to see a difference between that and your local computer. Very seamless when it comes to that. Same thing as when you go into the company file to open it. I think the items to look at, and I'm more than happy to discuss this with anybody who has questions in regards to it, but some of the items are like your transaction log, like what's going on with that company file that it would take a while to open. And those are items also that we're happy to look at, and we're happy to give suggestions on, because it might take a while to open, it might take a while to function within that file if those transaction logs or other items like that are too large. And that happens on a regular computer as well, regardless of where you keep your company file. There's another question: is the Microsoft Office suite included, or is that an additional charge? Excel, for example. So all Microsoft Office products within a hosted environment, they're not included. It is an add-on. And the reason for that is because we have to report it to Microsoft. So for example, if you need Microsoft Excel, Word, Outlook, any of those, there is an additional charge. Now, on the other hand, if you have Office 365, there's certain subscriptions with Office 365 that allow you to install it and access it from other devices. So if you have that set up, that would work in our environment, and you would not have to pay an additional fee for Microsoft Office. And that gets reported to Microsoft from our server perspective in a very different way. And you're already paying for that licensing with Office 365. So we wouldn't have to report or pay those fees. On the other hand, if you don't have that, there's also the option of running reports and saving or exporting them to a CSV and accessing them that way. For those of you that use reporting, you do know when you export it to CSV, sometimes it can become really messy as it changes the formatting. So having Excel is very important, but more and more nowadays, a lot of individuals are using Office 365, and they've made their plans very affordable. There's some that are as low as $12 a month, where they would be able to utilize it in our environment. Any other questions?
Someone asked, is the cost per user?
Correct. It's per user that logs into the system. Yeah, and somebody else stated another big benefit is that it doesn't matter where you are connected via PC or Mac. Correct. So you can access your QuickBooks desktop software from your Mac computer. So you can log into our system from your Mac computer and access that, and that would work perfectly fine. How does the exporting and importing of information from QuickBooks? So you can, if you have, you can export, whether it's reports or any other data, you can export it out of QuickBooks. You could choose to save it to your server environment with us, or you can save it to your local computer, and it just gives you the option. It's a regular pop-up screen. It gives you the option, where do you want to save it? And you can always choose to save it to your local computer if you want to save it there. If you use other third-party applications to save data to or share information on there, you can always link those within the server to be able to do that as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Monica.
All
Everyone,
right.
I will get the webinar recording and the PDF of the presentation to you later today. And I'll also link Monica's contact information in case you want to reach out to her directly.
Perfect.
Again,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you so much. We hope you all have a great day and hope to see you all at the next Insightful Accountant webinar. Have a good one.